Fire units from Waratah, Newcastle, the special foam pumping truck from Ties Hill, breathing apparatus van, and the Comsteel fire unit were called to the blaze at the walking beam furnace in the Edgewater Mill just before 5 o'clock. Fire caused by 10,000 litres of oil boiling over at the furnace was brought under control in just over half an hour. There was no major structural damage reported as a result of the fire, and no one was injured.
There are more than 12,000 playgroups across New South Wales, aimed at bringing mums and dads closer to their young children. In Newcastle today, hundreds flocked to Lambton Park to join in all the fun and activities in the Family Fun Day.
Join Ray Deneen and Anna Manzoni for all the news tonight at 6.
The setting was perfect for a day full of learning activities for the young. Playgroups have come a long way since their beginnings in 1972, where only 6 groups were registered under the New South Wales Playgroup Association. Now there are more than 12,000 groups across the state, providing an important service for 33,000 families. Due to the increased costs in preschool education, some parents are using the playgroups as their only means to effectively socialise youngsters under 5 years of age. It's a service that has a twofold purpose, which spokesman for the association, Jennifer Loas, explains.
The whole idea is to teach them to share and play together, with mum being there. Unlike preschool, mum's sent home and the children learn to play together. And having mum there as a friendly face, it's just that much more confidence that the children have.
How important is it for the mother to be involved? Is it a two-way group where they both benefit?
Yes, the mums do the activity with the children and help the children. It's not left wholly and solely to the children, because at that age, from baby to 5, there's a lot of times when children just can't cope with the activity. With mum being there, they're doing it together.
And what does it cost? Do you have any...
The duplicate bridge and connecting road was built at a cost of $2 million. It spans the Hunter River at Aberdeen, 13 kilometres north of Muswellbrook on the New England Highway. The Fitzgerald Bridge has been designed to resemble the existing crossing as much as possible to integrate with the surroundings.
Roads Minister Laurie Brereton says the new connecting road and bridge will significantly increase safety on this section of the New England Highway and complement the existing 93-year-old crossing, which is now being upgraded. Eventually, northbound traffic will use the new bridge, while southbound traffic on the New England Highway will separate and use the old bridge.
Both bridges should be fully operational by Christmas.
According to police, a man believed to be in his late teens entered the ANZ Bank on the corner of Bolton and Hunter Street just before 2 o'clock. Witnesses say the man was wearing a yellow and black beanie over his face when he demanded money from the teller, saying there was a gun in the bag he was carrying. He then ran off, dodging lunchtime crowds. All available police cars were called to search the area. A short time later, a motorcyclist fitting the description was detained for questioning at Nobby's Beach, but then released soon after. Police say the man was around 163 centimetres in height and was wearing blue jeans with a light blue top and dark collar. He had brown to red curly hair and was carrying a blue or black vinyl bag.
With little coal stocks in reserve on the seaboard, that current stoppage will have a drastic effect on coal exports from Newcastle, according to the General Manager of the Port Waratah Coal Services, David Boyd.
We have had several disruptions in the last couple of months which have caused there to be a shortage of coal. We only have enough to load 2 ships that are loading here at the moment. Kooragang, I believe, have enough to load 1 ship, and we have enough for 1 more ship after those 2 have finished, which means that by Friday morning we'll be exhausted as far as stocks of coal are concerned. Now, we will have by then at least half a dozen ships waiting, with another half a dozen or so due in the next week or so. So it is quite a problem.
The mining unions, on the other hand, are adamant that they won't enter into any agreement with the Coal Association, which locks them into unknown consequences. Bill Morgan is the Assistant Vice President of the Northern Miners Federation.
Well, usually once you get a settlement on a log of claims, you then agree that the terms of the log of claims of how long it'll be. Usually it's a 2-year period, and we're prepared to talk after settlement on the length of what it'll be. What the Coal Association is saying now, they want us to agree to 2 years before we even know what we're going to accept, and we're not prepared to do that.
The situation has been described by the Coal Association as critical. It says that future contracts hang in the balance, and miners must reconsider their strike action. Newcastle spokesman for the proprietors is Rod Harrison.
The Coal Association is astounded that the employees sought to take industrial action at this point in the negotiations. The ACA, the National Liaison Committee, spent a lot of time with the Minister for Industrial Relations, Mr Willis, and the ACTU arriving at an agreement on these matters related to their log of claims. Even after that agreement, further concessions were made by ACA, and we feel that the unions are totally unjustified in seeking to take industrial action at this time.
Well, that being the case, what's the ACA's next move in the matter?
The ACA is meeting tomorrow morning to consider the options that are open to it and the actions that they might take. In the meantime, I'd say, Ray, that mine workers should very carefully consider the position that they've placed the industry in at the moment. With oil prices dropping the way they are, an oversupply of coal in the world market, and customers wanting a reliability of supply, they're doing nothing to ensure the security of their own employment.
I'm happy with that, are you?
The Trade Practices Commission representatives today outlined their role at a seminar with the state-run Consumer Affairs Bureau. The 2-man team is on a tour of New South Wales following up specific complaints and offering advice to consumers and traders. From tomorrow morning, they want to hear from people in the Newcastle area.
From the trader, if he had pressure put on him to sell at a particular price, or if he wanted to buy good A and his supplier says you must take good B as well, that type of thing. Things that he thinks are a restrictive trade practice. In other words, he can't trade freely or make up his own mind as to what he wants to sell or at what price he wants to sell.
And from the point of view of the customer?
If he's been the subject of what he considers to be misleading or deceptive conduct, or if he's had problems claiming on the warranties on any goods or services that he may have purchased, then we'd be interested in hearing from him.
Just how much clout does the Trade Practices Commission have?
Well, we like to think we've got a fair amount of clout. The maximum penalty for consumer protection offences against the Act is $50,000, and for restrictive trade practices contraventions, $250,000. And some of the penalties have been getting up in that order, so that's a lot of clout, I would think.
Meet the original Mad Max. He's been called that by friends and associates for more than 25 years, and he's one of Australia's renowned television and film stuntmen. One of his claims to fame is that he coordinated and performed the car stunts in the film Mad Max 2, but his history in stunt work goes back a lot further than that.
I earned the name as Mad Max due to the many years that I raced in Speedway, in stock cars and eventually up into super sedans, mainly because I wasn't a skillful driver in the respect of driving in a straight line. I used to be continually rolling over. But I found that I had a kick. I basically got a kick out of rolling a car. I didn't do it on purpose. Hence I got the name Mad Max.
He was part of the famous stunt team, the French Hell Drivers, and tomorrow night at the Newcastle Motor Drome, he'll try to etch his name in the Guinness Book of Records by rolling 11 cars in 10 minutes. He'll use 2 ramps in the main straight and systematically roll the cars one after the other.
If I roll the first car and injure myself, I know that it's going to see the cars, I have to go on. And it's only showmanship and determination that drives that out. When you do it in a film, if you don't feel it's right, you can turn around and say to the director, no, I don't want to do it because it's not right. In the case of this, it's go for broke. I've got to keep on going.
Greg Heyman has good reason to be confident about his chances of Commonwealth selection when he competes in Sydney tomorrow. At the state trials only 3 weeks ago, he set a national record in the 52-kilo class for the clean and jerk. Greg lifted 127.5 kilos, more than twice his body weight. He also holds the Australian snatch record at 95.5 kilos, and the combined snatch and clean and jerk record. The 28-year-old from Speers Point began lifting 10 years ago, but had a 3-year layoff to pursue personal commitments. Greg watched the 1982 Commonwealth Games in Brisbane as a spectator, and decided then that it was time to return to competition.
The last Commonwealth Games held in Brisbane, the weights they were doing there and winning with gold medals with, I decided, well, I did that a few years before, and I thought, well, if I can't make a comeback within a couple of years, do the same weights again and represent Australia again, there's something wrong. So I started back the following week after the Commonwealth Games completed.
Well, your form in recent time has been excellent. How do you think you're going to get into the side?
I'm about 99% at the moment. If I hold together at the competition, I think I'll break at least a couple of records, and that'll secure me the place without any worries at all in the team.
Material from several private collections makes up the exhibition. Many of the pieces have domestic uses, such as bowls, jars, even chimney pots. And for this reason, the gallery believes many people are unaware of the pottery's worth, as a legacy of one of the region's most important early industries.
The oldest pottery works in Australia was founded in 1832 at Irrawang, 8 kilometres north of Raymond Terrace, by a Scottish immigrant called James King. Today, precious little remains of the original estate, yet in the 1830s and 40s it was a major colonial enterprise. The Region Art Gallery has located 3 pieces known to be genuine products of the Irrawang pottery, a rare ginger beer bottle and 2 stone-glazed shards, all bearing the distinctive Irrawang stamp.
Unlike Irrawang, several of the early potteries survived until recent times. The Hughes Pottery Works Proprietary Limited operated on this site at the junction, now occupied by home units, until mid-1981.
The Pottery Works was made up of 5 beehive kilns, a square kiln and a distinctive chimney stack made of their own bricks. Clay was supplied from pits at Barbeach, Cahiba and Curry. Records show the works produced every description of pottery, including chimney pots, fire bricks, oven tiles and drainage pipes. The family enterprise remained competitive throughout the early 1900s, but new technology and the use of sophisticated plastics forced its closure, and in September 1981 the chimney stack was destroyed. Many of the pots, tiles, bricks and pipes produced in the Newcastle kilns and at other pottery works at Waratah, Welham and Thornton, however, remain intact. And by exhibiting the many unusual pieces produced in this region, the gallery hopes to encourage interest in our local history.
I think it's very valuable. It's a great shame that we've allowed so much of it to disappear, to become lost. And I'm hoping that the exhibition will encourage people to look around and see what they might have at home.
It was scenes like these ones that greeted the volunteer workers who turned up early for a long day ahead of them. According to local residents, the rubbish dumped in the Glenrock Lagoon area has increased dramatically over the past few months, ever since the Lake Macquarie City Council imposed dumping fees on nearby rubbish tips such as Redhead. The clean-up has been adopted by the Newcastle Lions Club as a bicentennial project. With the help of local community groups, plus the support of the National Parks and Wildlife Service, it's hoped that by 1988 this area will be turned into a state recreational park. Local Member of Parliament Richard Face was also there to lend a hand as well as his support. Ray Viney is chairman of the proposed Glenrock Park Committee and believes the project will be a success, however extra help will be needed along the way.
If we can get the area gazetted as a state park, then we can get government assistance and a lot of help that's not available at the moment.
The meeting happened out of community concern. About 50 residents gathered at the Boundary Street Oval to discuss what could be done about a spate of recent thefts. Although police deny any increase of crime in the area, some residents have been victims of break and enter robberies. The Community Relations Officer from the police force, Senior Constable McLeod, told the gathering about Neighbourhood Watch, a program which has had remarkable success in reducing thefts in suburban areas. The NRMA backs the program and recently showed its belief in the project by reducing home insurance premiums. The Neighbourhood Watch program will be established in Cessnock next month, and perhaps after today's initiative, Curry will soon follow suit.
And there's another 500 on record down there.
No problem, is it?
The Illawarra Hawks in red and white were too good for the state champions, the West Sydney West Stars, and led throughout. The Hawks, led brilliantly, as always, by Dynamo Gordy McLeod, were in front from the outset, leading 26-18 at quarter time, 46-27 at half time, 62-48 at three-quarter time, and finally won 74-69. The shooting, though, was at times less than expected from both teams, and the final score was small by NBL standards. In the playoff, the Newcastle Falcons won 105-97 over Canberra. The Falcons had missed the spot in the final after losing last night to the West Stars after a half-court three-pointer in the final second.
Look for the pass at the right time, and that's part of the game.
The Eye Care Centre in Hunter Street has been operating since earlier this year. What makes the centre different is the service is both available to NIB members and the general public. The centre was officially opened today by State Treasurer and Member for Wallsend Ken Booth. He said the centre was a major step forward for NIB and indicates the continual growth of the health fund.
Congratulate NIB and the provision of this wonderful facility and the service that it's going to continue to provide for the Newcastle and the Hunter Valley, and I do congratulate you once again and have much pleasure now in officially declaring it open. Thanks very much.
Whisper who dares. For 100 minutes, schools are silent affair. The reason? A Hush-a-thon's in progress. 137 children at Waratah's Corpus Christi Primary School took part in the near impossible exercise to raise money for school equipment. The children spent the last month collecting sponsors at a going rate of 1 cent for every minute, no words are uttered. Staff say the Hush-a-thon is good discipline. Several students from the Catholic Education Centre for the Deaf also attend the school, and it was hoped the long silence would help other students to understand some of the problems that they face. The younger children had been in training for the Hush-a-thon, and their efforts paid off, for with only 30 minutes to go, it was strictly no comment.
Is it hard not to talk? Would you like to answer me?
but you're not going to. How have you been occupying your time? Not going to talk to me? Will you be glad when you're able to talk again?
While the students waited eagerly for the silence to end, their teachers were not so enthusiastic.
Sister, isn't this just a clever way of getting some peace and quiet?
It certainly is.
Nurses at Morisset Hospital have passed a vote of no confidence in the regional office of the Department of Health after it was disclosed that 40 hectares of the hospital's land would be transferred to the Lands Department for possible use as community housing. The nurses say that this virtually breaks the government's promise that no psych hospital land would be sold off for other uses.
Join Ray Deneen and Anna Manzoni for all the news tonight at 6.
I'm Matthew Clark. The region's top school surfers were competing today at Dixon Park in the Newcastle Zone high school titles. In the past, top surfers like Luke Egan and Nicky Wood have competed, and today there was no shortage of action.
Join Ray Deneen and Anna Manzoni for all the news tonight at 6.
Hello, I'm Helen Hughes. Maitland City Council has come under fire from the National Trust over the approved demolition of 3 historic buildings. The Trust says this shows a change in policy which puts the town's heritage at risk.
Join Ray Deneen and Anna Manzoni for all the news tonight at 6.
A $2.5 million leisure centre at Gorokan near Wyong is nearing completion. The project was made possible because of Community Employment Program grants.
Join Ray Deneen and John Church for all the news tonight at 6.